Hey, you. Good afternoon. It's a little later in the day for the meditation, but nevertheless, happy Saturday or whatever day you may be tuning in on this. I wanted to update you, of course, on another great day to meditate. Let's begin with our hands interlaced, maybe your thumbs connected. You can set your palms one on top of the other. Our back is upright. We're sitting in a seat. We can have our feet on the floor or crossed. Should be comfortable here. Let's begin to follow our breath as we close the eyes. Let's just focus on the breathing now. Just take a deep breath in and release the breath. Take a deep breath in, followed by 3 ohms. Now that our body is centered, let's begin to ease up on our own mind. Thoughts may pop up as if we're blowing bubbles, and little bubbles are all around us. Little thoughts just keep floating everywhere, and one by one they burst to grab our attention. There's nothing wrong there. It's okay. But every time we engage in a practice of meditation, we're just listening to those thoughts, and when we find them, you can catch them and label them as we're thinking. Yes, these are thoughts. And then we come back to the practice of meditation as we watch our breath rise and fall, as we settle into the stillness of this moment. Today I wanted to focus on the nature of humor in everyday life. If we can't find humor, chances are we're taking this whole thing much too seriously. I'm the first one to admit that I take life quite seriously. But I heard a woman speak today, and she mentioned that if you can't find humor in a situation, and you can't find loving kindness either, loving kindness is the ability to redirect our thoughts to find compassion for all living beings. We find compassion for ourselves, our individuality. We find compassion for those friends and family members we love. Loving kindness is finding compassion for strangers. And finally, loving kindness is allowing ourselves to find compassion for our enemies. There's going to be people in this world that symbolize everything we're against, everything we hate, everything that's wrong with this world. But when we look out, every unique aspect of this world is created by God. God is the light that's within us all. And so when it comes to someone that we hate or despise or we label as our enemy, let's remember that they too are human. And even if they are liars, let's remember that we too have lied. Surely whatever faults we find in them, we'll find in ourselves if we look long enough and deep enough. We're all together in this. So let's wish our enemies growth and compassion on all levels. Because if they grow to find their light and to better serve our humanity, then they were a piece of us after all, weren't they? The other day I found myself driving. I remember having some anxious thoughts as if everyone was after me or against me or maybe even following me. This narrative kept building that these people were out to get me. These strangers that knew nothing about me. And yet my mind had already painted a picture and a tale about how this was enemy of sorts. They were against me. But as I was driving, I was looking in my rear view mirror, I recognized the pattern of my behavior, the negativity. And I changed that thought to embody that rather than that this is an army against me, what if it's an army behind me, going with me? That all these people that I'm seeing, that I'm making this immediate judgment about, that they don't know me, they don't understand me, they don't follow me, they don't even love me. What if I had it all wrong in that thought? And yet these were the people that are standing behind me, walking forward with me. When we look at everyone and anyone, even our enemies, we all want the same thing. We all want to be happy. We all want to be healthy. We want to be surrounded by our loved ones. To live prosperous. And to cultivate our unique gifts. Life becomes very difficult and challenging when we recognize people as our enemies, when we can immediately label what's wrong with them. But the whole story starts to change when we can see the humor in it, Now, I know this is very difficult. There's such challenging times for all of us. So much happening in this world, especially in 2020. But every moment is an opportunity to find humor in it, somehow, some way. Ram Dass was quoted saying that when he finds someone against him, or an enemy, or anyone who he doesn't particularly find loving kindness for right away, he remembers a lesson from his guru Maharaji, and he changes the thought in his head to identify his enemy, that person, as his guru dressed in drag. Now, I want you to picture that next time you get mad at someone. Next time you're out at dinner, at a bar, with family, whoever it is, understand that the common thread, that life force in me and that life force in you and them and everyone else, is all the same. And what if that moment, that altercation, it was just someone pushing your buttons just to see if you facilitate anger or love or humor? Because here's the thing, as soon as you change your interpretation of them in that moment, when you realize that this person's not against you, maybe they're for themselves right then, but when you can identify that within them there is love and light, and that they're trying to teach you something through this situation, you can release that weight, that anger, that jealousy, whatever it is that you hold. And if you can find loving compassion to listen, soon you can find the humor in whatever situation it is. And there, we learn new lessons. I want to thank you for coming to meditate today. Not so many are this brave. Not so many are willing to find stillness in a chaotic world. I want to present you with one other opportunity as you go about your day. And that is to listen. Listen as best as you can. The ego is always thinking about me and my and I, what I need, what I want, how I think it's supposed to be. But I want you to take some time and to catch yourself. The next time you're upset or angry or disgruntled, watch yourself as you think that I want it this way, I need it like this. I want you to catch yourself thinking that thought, whatever the situation is, and I want you to listen. Especially if someone's speaking, I want you to hear how they're doing. To really be open and willing, not to provide coaching right away, not to give them advice, just to listen. There's so much power in just listening to others. And there's so much power in allowing someone to be heard. It goes so far. Let's come together for one final Om as we wrap up today's meditation. When you're ready, take a deep breath in. Om. Thank you again for joining. Thank you again for continuing to try, for continuing to stand up. You just have to keep getting up again and again. You have to keep trying, whatever that means for us. And I often think that if our mind was like a big tangled ball of yarn, meditation is the practice of just unwinding it, just bringing it back to the thread that it's supposed to be. You know, meditation is a lot like the aspect of sleep. Maybe not dreams so much, but when we wake up, depending on what we had to drink and eat the day before, usually morning is when we're most clear. And meditation is a kind of a conscious cycle of doing what sleep does. It unstrings all our worries and thoughts so that we can rise and begin again on a new day. So if you catch yourself and you're out of sync, or you catch yourself feeling angry or nasty thoughts are popping up, maybe it's time to meditate and to sit with that. There's always something we can learn. And the real beauty is that any of that anger is growing within us. Think if this body was a garden. That would be our yield for the day, something we create. But if we can stop it, if we can turn it into loving kindness, if we can find a way to see the humor in it, then this whole life becomes compassionate. Namaste, everyone. The light in me sees and honors the light in you. Smile and laugh.